You know, if you're suing somebody privately and they delete and get rid of all your stuff that you subpoena, you got a very big consequence. You know what the consequence is, right?
I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch network. Even Donald Trump's own former lawyers are saying he's toast after reviewing the superseding indictment brought by Special Counsel Jack Smith in United States versus Trump, now pending in the Southern District of Florida. Of course, the superseding indictment adds additional allegations about Donald Trump's conspiracy to try and destroy surveillance footage after the Department of Justice sent a subpoena to Mar-a-Lago. The superseding indictment also includes a new co-defendant, Carlos de Oliveira, the top maintenance worker at Mar-a-Lago, who was involved in this conspiracy to destroy surveillance footage with Donald Trump, as well as the other co-defendant, Waltine Nauta, one of Donald Trump's assistants who has been working with him since Donald Trump was in office and then at Mar-a-Lago thereafter. I want to show you Donald Trump's former top White House lawyer. This is Ty Cobb. His description of the new charges against Donald Trump and how powerful they are should say it all. And again, this is the former top White House lawyer under Donald Trump. This is what he has to say about the new superseding indictment. Play the clip.
Ty, I know you've read through the new indictment, been able to sort of compare every count, see the new document added, which appears to be those Iran attack plans shown to a biographer. Trump said that, by the way, he showed nothing. It was just articles. They now have the proof that it was not. It was actually the document he was waving around. As you go through everything in this now 60-page superseding indictment, what stands out to you, Ty?
Well, I think this original indictment was engineered to last 1,000 years, and now it will last. The superseding indictment will last to antiquity. I mean, this is such a tight case. The evidence is so overwhelming. It's very difficult to imagine how Trump could say that his lawyers met with Jack Smith today to explain to him that he hadn't done anything wrong, on the same day that Jack Smith produces, this evidence of, overwhelming evidence of additional wrongdoing on his part. So this is, I think, par for the course. I think one thing that's been ignored in the discussion so far, though, is, this is Trump dealing directly with Nauta and de Oliveira. At a time where Evan Corcoran, it has been told by him that there are no additional documents, that they don't have anything, and his lawyers certainly, were advising him, at some point advised him, not to destroy, move, or obstruct this grand jury subpoena in any way, or the government's request in any way. So this is Trump going not just behind the the back of the prosecutors. This is Trump going behind the back of his own lawyers, and dealing with two people who, were extremely loyal to him.
Right. And to Alyssa's point, while you're having a 24-minute conversation with your head of maintenance about the video, because you didn't want your lawyers to know. You didn't want anyone else to know. So you're actually doing it yourself. Well, so.
And I can assure you, in Trump's time in the White House, he never had a 24-minute conversation with Walt Nauta.
Right. I mean, 24-minute conversations in general for him would have been rare in any case. This is a long conversation. It does stand out in this. So, Ty, what about the document? It says they added an additional document, top secret. It's marked here going through it. Top secret described as plans. I'm just looking at it here, but specifically plans about invading a foreign country's military. Presentation concerning military activity in a foreign country. We understand that now appears to be the Iran attack plans that he was waving around to biographers. Now, he said to Brett Baier after the original indictment very clearly, that it was just newspapers, articles, who knows what it was I was waving around. They're now making the point of, yeah, it was what you were waving it around, and we've got the document. What does this do to the indictment?
So it doesn't add all that much to the indictment, but it takes away a lot of the platform that Trump has been trying to build for himself. See, they have these ridiculous stories. They're talking about, Milley's plan to invade Iran, and, they can't even produce it.
And then later on News Nation, you have Ty Cobb as well as Sarah Isker. And she worked at the Department of Justice, one of the chief spokespeople at the DOJ in the Trump administration. So another DOJ Trump lawyer, Sarah Isker, as well as Ty Cobb. Like, we're showing you the perspectives of these are people who would consider themselves to be conservative people, and they read the superseding indictment and the evidence, and based on their experience, they're just saying, here is what the facts are. Here's the egregious criminal conduct that Trump and Walt T. Nauta and Carlos de Oliveira committed. Here, play the clip.
Sarah, let me start with you. What to you is the most important piece of the superseding indictment?
Obviously, we're going to focus on the additional charges for former President Trump. But truly, the most important part to me is that they've actually added someone else to these charges. That means potentially we have other cooperating witnesses. It means there's someone else who can become part of this either joint defense or turn state's evidence. So that's really where I was focused on, is the idea of adding another defendant at this point.
It tied to me, I heard others sort of making a really big deal about the fact that they found this document, right? The Iran document. And to me, that just didn't seem like that big a deal that they were able to, quote, finally find the document. It seemed like a much bigger deal to me if they can somehow show with convincing evidence that Donald Trump was ordering security footage to be destroyed. Just big picture. That seems to me worse, right? It shows that this was intentional and that it was on purpose, no?
Sure. I mean, Trump's on record today saying his lawyers went into the meeting with Jack Smith and, tried to convince him that Trump had done nothing wrong and it would be bad for America if he was charged. Right. It's a little late for Trump to be thinking about, America, because he committed one of the most egregious constitutional assaults in the history of our country. But I think you're right, which is this is Trump not only, orchestrating, obstruction. This is Trump going around his own lawyers, to deceive them, which I think actually, the real significance of these charges is it cements in place exactly why the court in D.C. found that Corcoran had to testify pursuant to the crime fraud privilege, because the Trump was basically defrauding Corcoran and turned him into a witness. So I agree with you. I think I'm not sure that they actually didn't know they had that document. I think in my experience, the more likely reason it wasn't in the first indictment is that the intelligence world didn't want that document subjected to the CIPA process, and ultimately conceded once Trump started making up stories about the absence of that document being significant, that they ultimately conceded that Smith could use them.
Yeah, it did seem puzzling, Sarah, how they sort of suddenly found this, right? I mean, it sounds like the Trump team probably turned it over in the early days with the first batch of documents, but it's a little bit unclear from the indictment.
There's no question that in terms of the superseding indictment, I do not think they found it between June of this year when they first indicted Donald Trump, and now. I think Ty's exactly right. More likely, what you have is sort of this gray mail situation, what we call it, when a defendant is going to use the fact that the information is classified, that the intelligence agencies don't want it to be out there publicly presented to a jury. And the intelligence agencies are like, it's not worth it. Don't use it. Just drop it. In this case, once again, Donald Trump was his worst enemy. Him constantly going out there and daring them on this specific document clearly allowed the intelligence agency, who was the authorizer of that document, to say, fine, look, if that's what it's going to be, we're just going to have to figure out a way to shield the national security problems that it may raise, because he's gone out there and talked about it publicly much. I mean, once again, just a defense lawyer's nightmare.
And now let's take a quick break to talk about our next partner, Fume. Cold turkey, it may be great on sandwiches, but there's a better way to break your bad habits. We're not talking about some weird mind voodoo from your wacky neighbor or some sketchy message board. We're talking about our sponsor Fume, and they look at the problem in a different way. Now, not everything in a bad habit is wrong. So instead of drastic, uncomfortable change, why not just remove the bad from your habit? Fume is an innovative, award-nominated device that does just that. Instead of electronics, Fume is completely natural. Instead of vapor, Fume uses flavored air. And instead of harmful chemicals, Fume uses all natural, delicious flavors. You get it. Instead of bad, Fume is good. It's a habit you're free to enjoy and makes replacing your bad habit easy. Your Fume comes with an adjustable airflow dial and is designed with movable parts and magnets for fidgeting, giving your fingers a lot to do, which is helpful for de-stressing and anxiety while breaking your habit. The first time I used Fume, I was shocked at how flavorful and fresh it tasted. Now, it's easy to hold and perfectly balanced and quite honestly, extremely fun to fidget with. The real wood material and sleek design definitely classes it up, and I feel pretty darn cool holding it. Stopping is something we all put off because it's hard, but switching to Fume is easy, enjoyable, and even fun. Fume has served over 100,000 customers and has thousands of success stories, and there's no reason that can't be you. Join Fume in accelerating humanity's breakup from destructive habits by picking up the Journey Pack today. Head to tryfume.com and use code Meidas to save 10% off when you get the Journey Pack today. That's tryfum.com and use code Meidas to save an additional 10% off your order today.
And then, of course, you got to appreciate this throwback to 2016 where Donald Trump said this.
You know, if you're suing somebody privately and they delete and get rid of all your stuff that you subpoena, you got a very big consequence. You know what the consequence is, right?
And there you have it, folks. That's why I think it's just so important so you hear in their own words what's Donald Trump's own former lawyer saying, former top DOJ official saying. What did Donald Trump say in 2016? Ultimately, if we are a nation of laws and law and order, there is nobody above the law. Donald Trump's flagrant, open and obvious criminality is anathema to our democracy, to our system of justice. And the fact that you've got MAGA Republicans supporting this is just completely and utterly despicable. For example, here is a clip of Kevin McCarthy saying that he's not concerned about the superseding indictment. That's what he says. He says what he's really concerned is about President Joe Biden's conduct.
Does any of that concern you?
No, what concerns me is you have a sitting president that has a situation like this, but even worse, that had documents, but nothing's happened. You've had, and he's a Biden.
Worse because they're alleging.
But then you've had, well, the current president had documents as a senator, so there's no question when you have a document as a senator, you have no right to a document.
Right, you're talking about instruction versus handing the document.
Well,
two different things.
How is that?
How is that?
No, but how is that not? You had it since a senator. You cannot leave the room any document. If I ever had a document, that would be beyond obstruction because I know I can't take that document out of the skiff. So he is a president. When he was a senator, he took a document. How many years is that? And there's been no prosecution. So this is why everybody sits back and says, what are these two tiers of justice, right? And then you look, anything when it comes to the Biden Inc. family, they get a whole different treatment. His son gets a statute of limitation run out 6 years. We know from any IRS agent, you never allow that to happen. Come up, be able to extend it. But Weiss did it. How can you be so quick to judge President Trump in a short time period, and you've had all this other, but you can't deal with that?
But they're talking about the obstruction versus the actual. It's two different issues. They're saying the obstruction.
It's not two different issues. How is one keep being indicted and another not?
Because they're alleging that he obstructed in a federal investigation.
Let me ask you this one question. Take all the names out. Does any senator, any congressman have a right to take a document out of the skiff?
It just goes to show you, I wanted to show you at the beginning of this video, serious people and then show you very not serious people like Kevin McCarthy and the MAGA Republicans in the House of Representatives. So evaluate for yourself. Let me know how you feel, and leave it in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network. Hit subscribe. Check us out at patreon.com/MeidasTouch. Wherever you get audio podcasts, subscribe to the MeidasTouch podcast. Have a great day and hit subscribe right now. Thank you. Ben Meiselas here. I want to tell you about my best friend growing up as a kid. His name is David Sorokin. We were inseparable growing up. Here, check out the photos of us. I knew David Sorokin was going to grow up to do great things, and that he did. And I want to tell you how David Sorokin can help you out. You see, David Sorokin is a partner at the renowned plaintiffs law firm called the Morelli Law Firm, one of the top personal injury law firms in the entire country, with a specialty in truck accidents, construction accidents, and cases where a victim has suffered a traumatic brain injury. Morelli Law Firm has obtained billions of dollars in recoveries all across the country for its clients and their families. The Morelli Law Firm recently received a jury verdict of more than $100 million for a single plaintiff who suffered a traumatic brain injury as a result of a construction accident, setting the New York State record for the largest pain and suffering verdict ever in a traumatic brain injury case. The Morelli firm has represented actor-comedian Tracy Morgan in his famous truck accident case against Walmart. The Morelli firm takes cases that are 7, 8, and 9 figures to jury verdicts. So if you or anyone in your family has been injured as a result of someone else's negligence, call the attorneys at the Morelli Law Firm today. The phone number is 516-447-8233. That's 516-447-8233. You can also check out their website at morellilaw.com/Meidas. That's MORELLILAW.com/Meidas. Again, it's MORELLILAW.com/Meidas. And as I've kind of phased out being a litigator and I've been focusing more on the MeidasTouch network, I want to make sure that you are all in good hands if you or someone you know has been a victim of someone else's negligence. So reach out to the Morelli firm. They're a law firm that I trust a lot, and I know they'll take very good care of you all. That's morellilaw.com/Meidas, and you can say that Ben Meiselas sent you. Have a great one.